Yeah, the only ones that haven't played at 5 have been the full Indo teams.
Dire
So
team ban.
I think the Tiny built a bit more of an aggressive style as well, really taking advantage of the
Radiant
fact that
team
Pugna could
ban.
just be there to get him back to full mana and then go straight back in with a Blink Dagger as opposed to just sitting back and idly farming.
Yeah, well, it gives you now. It
When I
really.
think Army Geniuses, the Nyx Assassin, is that
10
really...
seconds remaining.
That's not the hero that springs to mind when I think Varese and
5
when I think
seconds
Narman,
remaining.
right? Like, it just doesn't seem to be as much of a part
Dire
of their
team ban.
wheelhouse as, some other ones. Like Narman, you think of these heroes that are able to get in and out, deal a lot of burst damage, and then look to re-engage. Nyx Assassin, you're kind of committed once you're in, I suppose. And same sort of thing with Varese, right? He plays these elusive heroes, let's
10
say,
seconds remaining.
ones that are hard to kill. The Weaver, the Death Prophet, this sort of style. Nyx
5
Assassin definitely
seconds
isn't one of
remaining.
those.
Yeah, I think Narman's more of this stylish hero. We've seen him on the Earth Spirits, and he pops off. The Tiny as well can be a difficult hero to pull off on a 4, but Army Geniuses actually really don't mind giving Narman the Nyx. They did it in their series versus MY, and I think we saw it in the DPC once or twice as well towards the tail end. So they obviously feel like it's okay in a position 4 role, and I feel like if we were watching Eastern Europe right now, there would be consideration. If this support is something that can't clear waves, we'd be starting to mention like a Nature's Prophet or a
10
Beastmaster as well.
seconds
But
remaining.
like you said, let's
Radiant
if the
team
meta is going to start to transition down or not. But we get a Grimstroke, so a very good combo with the Storm.
Also good at preventing a lot of that push potential as well, right? All you need to do is max out the Stroke of Fade, and you're relatively good with dealing with a lot of tower push, at least in the form of like creep waves and lots of
10
units. But
seconds
you might just
remaining.
opt to go into something like a Dragon Knight, which is still in the pool. Good against the Storm
5
Spirit,
seconds
instant
remaining.
lockdown, quick damage into towers. Wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, no, I like the Dragon Knight as well. I think it's something that just a lot of teams are continuing to put priority on, and it's understandable why. With the flex that he has, he's a pretty good laner. He's able to initiate, take towers. He covers a lot of your bases, which you need. And we get
Ooh, a
an Earth
skill
Spirit.
layer Spirit.
Yeah.
I love that. That was it was probably the hero that he just picked constantly, right? For what would I say, about 5 or 6 series straight in last DPC seasons.
10 seconds remaining.
SCA, it was lower division at the time. It just seemed like Yangon was picking it every single
5
chance that they
seconds
could.
remaining.
Yeah, Skillet has quite the exceptional Earth Spirit. And there we go. Beastmaster. So, can you just Phantom Assassin? Are you considering that? Conquer's even a potential. I think there's a lot now you can pick that's enabled because of the Grimstroke.
10 seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
The only thing is with the PA, I'm a
5
little worried
seconds remaining.
uh, that the Nyx Assassin isn't going to be able to do enough to halt the push, so that your more
Sure.
greedy style is going to be punished, perhaps a little bit stronger. So
Okay.
I don't think you can rely
Radiant
entirely
team
on the
ban.
Storm and the Grimstroke. They go Medusa instead. It's not terrible, right? You can get active, you can deal with the boars. It also means that you don't necessarily need to run this Grimstroke in the 5 role either. I know it's something that Varese does a little bit more often, but it could just be the Nyx, the melee hero, paired together with a
10
Medusa.
seconds remaining.
And it gives you a pretty good carry matchup
5
versus the
seconds
Tiny as well.
remaining.
As soon as you get Scardy, you're going to feel pretty comfortable. I have still seen Tinies be able to match against the Deucer as the game goes later, but I would give an edge to DB's Medusa in a game like this. And like you were saying, now it just gives you a hero that can kind of deal with the push a little bit easier than what really a Phantom Assassin would have. So that's a real big bonus here for Army Geniuses.
Yeah,
10
and
seconds
it's
remaining.
a better matchup than something like the Conquer into the Tiny, right? So it gives you something
5
that's good in lane,
seconds
that's
remaining.
relatively capable of clearing out waves, that isn't going to die super easily, and scales just as well as a Tiny does. You would have to imagine that Army Geniuses are going to get rid of the Invoker.
Dire
It feels like an
team ban.
amazing Invoker game right
Radiant
now.
team
There
ban.
we go.
Nice
Buff
call.
up the Tiny, EMP for both the Deucer and the Storm Spirit. They absolutely needed to get rid of it. Do you Yeah, I was about to say, like, do you mid? No, Pango's banned. Never mind. I
10
was going to say
seconds
mid
remaining.
Pango diffusal. Even against the Grimstroke, it wouldn't have been that bad.
5
But in
seconds
terms of anything
remaining.
else that does mana break, there's not a ton left in the pool. Unless there's some diffusal gyrocopter BS happening.
I'm just trying to think if they go for, because they're very reliant on Earth.
DK still, right?
You can, but isn't that a bit awkward into? I think you have to really execute a fast-paced lineup. Otherwise, if Dusa gets Scardy, then I feel like his involvement in fights is very underwhelming.
Heroes to be fast paced, though, don't you?
Say that again, sorry.
You've got the heroes to be fast paced.
You do.
You'll have the Elder Dragon form. You'll have the Beastmaster with Helm of the Overlord pretty quickly. You'll have a Tiny with a couple of big items. You'll have Pugna to keep people sustained. I feel like they've got the tools for it.
It's just execution is a big question. Can you execute with a lineup like that? Now they go down the route that it's a good lane versus the Storm Spirit, and I actually like the Lina versus the Deucer as well. You can outrange her. I think you should shape up pretty well into the late game because Army Geniuses lack ways to be able to gap close onto the Lina. It's really only Storm Spirit plus the Inkswell combo. So now you're going to be looking at Wami's hero to try and help at least start fight and maybe find Lina.
Yeah, and you've got multiple ways to be able to, like, you know that Yangon Galacticos are going to be grouping up and death balling, right? So the Beastmaster's going to be there, the Pugna's going to be there. So you're going to have a decrypt for the Lina if they jump onto him, or you're going to have the Primal Roar to be able to just lock down the Storm Spirit once he does go for that dive in. So I think the important part is just don't stand stacked up on top of each other completely, and you should be just fine. I really like the Tide Hunter. I was initially thinking the Sand King, but that was banned. But just one of these heroes that you want to stick in front of a tower and make it hard to push into. Wouldn't have hated the Underlord either, but yeah, Tide Hunter's fine.
I think it gives them a big advantage in team fight now as well for Army Geniuses. You're going to have the eventual Ags coming out from Storm, with the Inkswell, with the Deucer AoE damage, with the Tide Ravage now. And for Yangon Galacticos, I feel like you are very reliant on trying to get a very early lead off the back of this RT Beastmaster and the Zoran Pugna, where you can take towers early on, get map control, you're on Radiant, so you'll have a little bit easier of a time to access the pit, and then go from there. I think this game will get very difficult for them to play at the later stages just because of the kind of lack of team fight, but then again, I can see also the angle for them to maybe play a little bit easier later as well, because you have Beastmaster with the Hawk, and I think that's going to be really important to enable Lina and how she can position herself.
Thinking of how these lanes are going to go. So Varese, he's playing the Grimstroke paired together with the Medusa, most likely. So going up against the Beastmaster lane, you're probably putting a few more points into the Stroke of Fate. You know, you don't really need the Phantom's Embrace this game. You'll get 1 point just for the brief little bit of silence. But early on, Inkswell to enable the Storm Spirit once it gets to the mid game. But you got to make sure you're trying to max out that Stroke of Fate as much as possible to be able to prevent a lot of this early push coming into you. I'm also looking at the Pugna lane compared to the Tide Hunter. You know he's using Anchor Smash to be able to secure a lot of those creeps, particularly the range creeps. So Netherward is going to get a pretty decent amount of value in that lane too.
For me, this is looking like quite an even draft. Like I can really see the avenue from victory for either side. But for you, how are you feeling like this? Did you feel like it's as even as I'm kind of looking at it, or does one team have a slight advantage?
I would give Yangon a slight advantage if they play their draft correctly, just because you are still a little bit cooldown reliant on Army Genius's side relative to what Yangon have. You know, they've gone for a fast-paced lineup. Pugna ultimate basically doesn't have a cooldown. Tiny ultimate no cooldown. You don't need to fight around the magnetize. Laguna Blade just feels like a little bit of an extra bonus. It's really only the Primal Roar that you're going to be looking to play around a decent amount for team fights, but you don't really even want to go for team fights, right? You just want to be taking towers with this full-on death ball. So that's the thing that I'm a little bit concerned about, plus the fact that the Storm Spirit doesn't have this IO or Pugna or Keeper of the Light to just keep him out on the map and preventing this push from happening.
Sure. So you feel like it's all off the back of just the execution from Yangon, and if they're unable to, are you going to put like a net worth number that they need to have at some stage this game for you to feel comfortable?
necessarily net worth is, hold on a minute, RT is about to walk into 3 people on Army Geniuses. I think if they haven't taken a tier 2 tower by, I'm going to say 17 minutes, I'll be a little bit worried.
Okay. I like that. I like having like a metric, something to go back on. Because sometimes I'm always looking at net worth. Like I think a team needs to have, say, 3,000 net worth after 12 minutes after the laning phase. They need to snowball, or 20 minutes in, etc., etc. And if they're unable to hit that, then the other team should feel very confident, which I think Army Geniuses will. But I can also see some concerns for them because it's going to be a BKB lineup that comes out from Yangon, like Lina. We've seen it's kind of boots of travel BKB, or it can even be BKB before the boots of travel. Tiny's going to go for a very early one as well, so they might really be lacking damage on Army Geniuses unless there's like a nice stun from Narman. Unless there's... Is anyone going to die, actually? I want to keep speaking skill aid. Please make sure you don't end up dying.
Yeah, you got to make sure you're getting those boar hits in just for a little bit
of... Yeah, he should go down. Oh, the salve! Oh no, Varese finds our first blood. Beautifully played as Army Geniuses hit the board to start our day.
And they really should have been microing that boar a little bit more just to prevent the chase down there. So it's a first blood. It's pretty valuable to give that one over, even though it only is to the position 5. But what I really want to see coming out from Army Geniuses, from Yangon Galacticos, is you've already got this winning lane in mid, right? Lina is going to beat Storm Spirit 9 times out of 10. And you've got heroes that do a great job at rotating. Well, at least one with skill A. Very quickly able to join in the rest of the lineup.
RT? How do you die to a Deuce of Grim?
I don't know. Your Earth Spirit not being there, I suppose. He's going to try and block up this small camp and then make the full-on pull happen. But just look at Varese. He's connecting the waves together, making sure you're not getting a lot of that free experience. What I was about to say was, Skill A needs to make sure that you're securing basically every single one of these water runes and preventing Azura from being able to get anything out of this lane. Because like you said, they're lacking in damage. So if the Storm Spirit doesn't have a game, there's no pressure. Well, there shouldn't be any pressure on the Beastmaster. Tiny's able to get, those 2 key items that he needs to get active early on, and then your win condition gets enabled.
You were mentioning about the Pugna going for the Netherward as well, just for the lane because of the Tide spam and the Anchor Smash, and that is the route that Zorain has gone.
He needs to play a little bit more... I don't know if conservative is the right word, but he's got to try and actually right-click some of these range creeps and the like, and that's probably not going to happen. Even just using the Gush to secure them feels even worse.
Yeah. Right, I still feel like Wommy is going to get his farm. He's 6-1 at the moment. Tiny is free farming, though, kind of expected, but maybe he won't because you've got a position for Nyx Assassin. Like, this hero really does not do much in the lane, so maybe Wommy actually is going to have a bit rougher of a time.
Yeah, Pugna's actually pretty good at trading with right clicks, especially if you go for this more stat-oriented build like Zorain's got. Is it 59 damage as a ranged with the same armor as a Nyx Assassin? You're faster. It's just everything you're beating out this Nyx Assassin at this point in time.
It does look like the mid's going very Azura favored, which I'm quite surprised. Lina, again, honestly, really doesn't lose any matchups. So the fact that Azura's bodying Hor has me a bit concerned for Hor this game.
We've been impressed by Azura overall, though.
We have, yeah.
I'm sure that's going to reveal the placement of an Observer Ward, the fact that he was hitting up onto the high ground, as Hor forgets that his team blocked up the small camp of the Storm Spirit. He was walking over to try and take that little bit of farm away, and it's not going to be the case. Rotation coming through here from the Earth Spirit, really looking to rectify the situation here in this mid lane. They know exactly where Azura is. So let's see if they're ready to make the play. Will he be on the mark with his signature Earth Spirit?
Nice scan. Nice scan. All right. Oh, they tip him as well. Oh, no. And as soon as it tips out, he's going to start walking back to top.
Even forgetting about the bounty rune, even forgetting about the water rune. I mean, they're still just as important, right? I feel like you could easily stay around there, take the bounty rune, secure the top water rune, but instead, it's going to be the Nyx Assassin making the rotation down here. So instead of just denying at least one of the runes away, it just feels like Army Geniuses are getting a lot more than they probably should.
It might have been Hall that made the call. He's like, hang on, you still got a job to do here. We got some runes, like you said. Come back. Come on, secure at least some of these for me. Maybe get the bounty rune. It's like, oh, okay. Sorry, I made the mistake. Then you I was smoked.
At least the Beastmaster didn't die again. And
That's
got the...
He's got 11 last
Helmet
hits.
Iron Will. Yeah, he's got the Helmet Iron Will coming out to him now, though, which makes things a little bit easier. And he's level 3, so
Radiant's
2
middle
points in the
tower
boars,
is
so
under
much more
attack.
effective at being able to last hit. But you just see here, they just spam out those boars, and it's a ton of experience. You've basically got a full level net worth lead over the Beastmaster right now.
Very close to getting the kill. I don't know how the courier didn't die.
They're killing these boars so easily, man. Like the
Dire's
micro
top
needs to
tower is under
level
attack.
up a lot more from RT. That's the reason that there was a kill for the first blood there, and he's just feeding away these boars in the lane, not only preventing you from being able to farm, but it's just giving DB so much experience. He's level 5, and RT's level 3.
It's a big concern. Lane Hall has level 6. Oh, Azura went back into the LSA. Beautifully played from Hall. We were mentioning that he was struggling early, but almost doubled the last hits of the Storm before he even hit 30 and gets a kill to his name. So nice past couple of minutes for the Lina.
That's when you open up the all chat and say, scan that. See if you're able to dodge that. I mean, that wouldn't happen without the change to the Laguna Blade either, right?
Very
100
true.
less mana cost meant that you're able to just get so much more aggressive in the early game.
So I'm a big proponent of Lina. I really liked her last patch. Of course, a lot of people were still picking her, but I felt that people were not valuing her late game carry as much as what it was deserved. And I've still seen a couple of times as Azura dodges the LSA. It's not good for Reese to combo with as well. It's only 1 point in the Inkswell. It was a cute attempt from Skill A to try and kick him out of range, but they get the stun and the damage nonetheless. And a nice little return kill for Azura.
It's all about Azura this game. He needs to have a good game to enable them to stay active, prevent the Lina from getting farm and being too much for the Medusa to contest. Like you said, the good attack range on the Lina is very effective at dealing with the Medusa. You've essentially like had a bit two ways, right? With the Lina, you've got a good lane against the Storm Spirit, plus you've also got the Medusa counter. But the downside is, if it doesn't go too well for you, then the Medusa is going to be overthrown.
How does RT actually play Dota? This is 3 heroes, a Medusa diving past the tier 1 tower, and they've got a catapult wave as well, so he's taking quite a long time to be killed off. And Skill A actually commits his TP.
A little slow, my man.
Do they kill the Earth Spirit as well? They need the abilities from the Grimstroke. They're going to get them now, and TP finds the nuke from the Snake. They still hold the catapult. So again, the damage pummeling into the tower.
I'd like to take this moment to remind you that I said that they have a chance if they play it correctly. And unfortunately, it doesn't feel like they've done that. Not protecting the power runes for a Lina against a Storm Spirit, allowing Storm to only be 300 behind the Lina at this stage. And this top lane for RT just isn't going well at all.
Wow. Oh my.
Honestly, might be Army Geniuses that take that 17-minute tier 2 at this rate.
I guess they'll... If it's a silver lining, is that there's no stacks at the triangle. They block the hard and the ancient, so there's not more that they can do to accelerate the Medusa. Oh, well, I say that, but Varese gets a double stack and DB even stacks himself by the outpost. The power of the dire jungle.
They know they've got the Netherward here to prevent any kind of Storm Spirit action. Knows that it's placed down, so he's probably going to be a little bit hesitant at wanting to also get the D ward off there. But the tower's dropping kind of low in the mid lane. You've got a Pugner who's opted for the 2 points in the Nether Blast, but I don't know how he's going to actually go with his boots, right? Because if you're going all in onto this tower pushing style, that is very mana intensive. So you kind of need the arcane boots, but that prevents your ability to keep everyone topped up with this medic style of Pugner.
Uh-oh. Scans on the mark. They have recognition of Hall. Beautiful spike carapace to allow them to get the follow-up, and now instantly Army Geniuses are out of the area. Skill A's off the mark, but an early rotation from KSH, feeling like it's a great position that Yangon are in, and he has to get active earlier than what we see the Tinies. So they get a return kill and the tower. Honestly, not the worst thing, because also look at top. RT's getting a nice little pick-me-up.
Oh, they've also found Azura here a little bit. He's dropping low on mana, but not low enough. The important thing about taking that tier 1 tower, though, is they're also, like you said, going to take that tier 1 top. Now the Deucer doesn't have the same capabilities of just freely farming inside of her own jungle. She needs to be so much more careful and maybe put a bit more emphasis onto rotating towards the triangle, which has been sentryed up by Yangon Galacticos.
Silently, we've had Wommy as well. Looks like he's going to get his own tower of the game. So, Hyde got a 0-3-4 build. Of course, the point in the Ravage early. We're expecting him to go... I would want him to go Blink after Hood. Is that the route you would hope as well?
Let's have a look at what Beastmaster's farm's like. I'm just thinking, like...
Oh, Azura. They're TPing the Tide in, just in case a further fight breaks out, but Wommy won't really be necessary. Well, maybe not. He'll just come over, snag away the kill. Now, when the... Oh, look at Narman. Oh, this is perfect. He sees Skill 8 along with Zorain. Narman's going to get a solo kill, but they will not be able to run into Skill 8 along with that. So in the end, still will be 2 pickoffs for Army Geniuses.
There was also a cheeky little play done there by Varize as well. He had the boar on top of him, so a lot of slows, and he was actually being chased down by the Helm of the Dominator Centaur. Just pops the smoke. Means that the creeps aren't able to see him anymore, and he's able to run away to safety. Trying to go for the stack. Unfortunately, he's not close enough. He's also in the smoke, so they're not going to see him. And they should get an understanding that it's blocked.
Ten kills, 2,000 net worth lead for the lads over on Army Geniuses. 11 minutes in. Do you feel like the game's going to slow down just a little bit till we find our next item timing? Or Yangon, they don't want that. They want to smoke up.
Come on, you've cast more Yangon Galacticos games than that.
True.
So they slow down. It's just all systems go. You don't have these top and mid tier 1 towers to deal with, so any kind of smokes, it's always just so much harder to join in for reinforcements. Exactly where DB is farming. Can they get the initiation?
He's pretty tanky, man. Dragonlance. Let's see if it's going to be enough to keep him alive. But no one comes over the area. No one came to help DB. They all had TBs too. They're like, no, you're, yeah, we're just going to let them kill you off and give RT a bit of a streak. And you know, he's starting to catch up.
Starting to. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. He's still sitting at the bottom of the net worth for the cause. And yeah, that was just a little bit of a mistake there from the Deucer. I was saying before, you just don't have the luxury of being able to play inside your own jungle anymore. You really just need to play in this, I can't even draw on the map, but this oval section going down from where your own ancients are. The fact that they're still not dewarded is a little surprising to me as well, considering what just happened with the Medusa. And the fact that she's got top straight away.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised she's not playing by the Ancients, considering they don't really have anyone else that wants to farm that area. So, you know, you see, yeah, there's a DB starting to make a farming rotation over towards that side of the map, but meanwhile we have the Tiny, who's kind of been untouched so far. KSH, he's gone the Echo Saber, and he's got also the Blitz Knuckle. Looks like he's going to hold the gold, though, for the Ag Shard, maybe? Or might even buy the Shadow Blade beforehand.
Both are fine, to be honest. Like, I feel like you do still need a little bit of that gotcha factor. If you lock down this Storm Spirit, they can't put any pressure onto you. So any sort of chances that you can use to kill him while he's farming, especially now if they were able to catch him out when he has so low mana, would have been huge. But yeah, they just need to go about things, group together as this ball of 4 and continue to push on forward. You've got level 6 now on Zorain too. Like I was saying, he went for the Arcane Boots instead of the straight Tranquils. It's important. Anytime that you just want to take as many towers as possible, you gotta have that mana regen. Going for another smoke here, but they're all kind of grouped up on Army Geniuses. They're farming in the right place. They're farming right underneath a Hawk. They still seem to feel like they can take this fight. I'm not sure I'm as confident as they are, though.
He's got full resources this time.
Maybe now that he's alone.
Oh, no, they missed the roll. Is that the opportunity for the Stone Gaze, and instantly Yangon are looking to get out of the area.
And we were singing his praises, but Skiller's been a little off the mark today with his Earth Spirit. Missing a lot of rolls and even just the kicks of the boulder smash.
Our team might be in trouble. Azura playing with the regen. And they're even dropping the Ravage as well from Wami, so a heavy commitment, but you haven't used the Ravage so far, so you happen to put that one on cooldown as they get RT in the grave once again. It's the 4th time this game. The River, Narman. This time Skilla is going to be on point with his spell usage, so they're still going to return kill across the map.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Neither team amazing at Roshan. Maybe the Tiny once he gets like Shadow Blade plus Aghanim Shard for himself. Looks like he's going to be saving up for the Shard. Only 5 seconds away from being able to pick it up.
For me, I'm looking at the BKBs though, soon to be completed on the lads of Yangon. Hor's going for his, which he now has completed, and I would hope Tiny.
Actually, they're just going to go straight into Roche with this Aghanim Shard. Don't hate it.
Shard? Who's got Shard? Wami?
The Tiny.
Hang on, no Ravage. Wami, what's going on, my guy? You can't be posturing like that. Look at the kill on the Grimstroke, refreshing the Magnetize as well, but Wami doesn't tick out. They need to deal with the Warpine Raider or Skillet as well. The kick still on cooldown, so Wami just escapes, and maybe Narman too. A double impale, but Yangon don't want to let him get back to the safety of the tier 2 tower, and they will prevent that.
General idea that they're playing around this Roche pit. I mean, you could just still look to go back into it, right? Very odd choice to want to go in there when you don't have the Ravage. I know it's very hard to want to give up this Roshan, especially being able to claim it relatively early on for someone like the Lina, who is such a big portion of their damage, but I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of a not so well thought out option that they were going for there.
This is huge though, because again, we were kind of both wanting this team to be able to play a little bit faster paced, and I think the Aegis enables that, because now you can get a lot more map control, and I don't know, maybe next 30 seconds they can get your tier 2 tower. You're thinking they would.
Yeah, the reason I said 17 minutes is that this siege creep is still alive on the top side, so I think you've got to play around that. You've got really good timings, especially now that you've got the Aegis. Routes of travel close to being finished for the Lina, I believe. She's actually looking to prioritize back into the Silver Edge. Yeah, it's pretty important, right, against the Tide Hunter. There's been a couple of times now where the Kraken Shell has saved him, and they'll at least force out a glyph here on the top side. It won't be a tower taken, but it's still a lot of emphasis being put onto the map.
I think
Tide Hunter just trying to put his body in the way. Do Tide Hunter things.
so a lot of damage. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, whoa. All
I mean, he
right.
had the Ravage, but you had the Aegis, so I guess it was hard for the rest of his team to join, right? No outposts, no towers, mid or safe lane. Or off lane. So would have been dead as a dodo if he didn't do that.
Room is dead as a. What? What was the nail one? I don't remember.
Doornail.
Dead as a doornail. Oh, it's just simple as that. Oh, zip in, Azura. Popping a very early BKB, but a beautiful decrep's going to minimize the damage. Oh, Wami's in as well. Lacking a little bit of follow-up. Yes, they get the kill on the Pugda, but where's the rest of the damage from Army Geniuses? They don't get the greatest usage out of the Ravage, but they are eyeing up Paul, knowing that the BKB is on cooldown, but they're getting closer to their tier 1 tower. They're trying to turn it around. Just going to be claimed away, but still, they haven't tickled DB, but he doesn't really have the damage on the Medusa, as Azura's back in for the instant roar, holding back the storm, but it really doesn't do anything, as DB still untouched this team fight. Azura's going to zip over the tree line, finds a little bit of damage. No! KSH prevents the finishing blow as a Tiny puts him in the grave.
They were really wanting to take advantage of the fact that the Lina didn't have that BKB because of it being popped on the top side of the map. So, yeah, decent Ravage coming out. They actually entirely wasted the Stone Gaze there on DB. Maybe just using it for the movement speed potential, but with that kill turnaround from the Tiny, it's salvaged that team fight for Yangon Galacticos. The important thing is that the Tiny continues to get this farm. Honestly, even multiple Silver Edges on the team aren't the worst.
My concern is that DB got 2 of those kills in that fight, and he is about to have Scotty, which is... I don't know. I really don't know how they deal with Scotty, honestly. I think this is a big item to put them in prime position to take this game.
I would agree so too. I think they've got...
Oh, Grobo,
not
cool.
to be dramatic, but one more chance, maybe, for Yangon to really put pressure on this top side. Again, Glyph was used previously. You've got some decent timings up now. Tiny's got a good amount of farm. If they caught out first, though, can't be losing the Pugner. He's a big part of your team fight. And just look at the TPs up from Army Geniuses, realizing that, hey, this is the weak point on the map right now.
Quick and easy kill, looking to get out as easy as that. And they will. Okay, 1 for 1, nothing crazy.
What's Hall going to go for? Looks like he's got the Boots of Travel coming out to him. So he just wants to shove out a few more of these lanes. He's got an Arcane Rune available. I still feel like you need to play around some of these towers, right? Like, group up as a team of, you can even say 4. Let the Lina be on her own. And then just instantly rejoin, because you're going to have plenty of units from that that Death Ball push to be able to TP onto. Ravage back up, so having to be a little bit careful here. Still going to be some time until they get the BKB on either the, on the Tiny in particular. So that Heaven's Halberd that Tidehunter's looking to go for, only 1,000 or so gold away. It's going to be pretty devastating. And RT, he is again target number 1.
He will be killed off. Deuce is left solo, but the fact that they can't even touch the Deucer is a big concern, knowing that at least 3 heroes showed top. So this is... this is just, again, a different look of Army Geniuses, as Grimstroke's going to be killed. But continuing to brawl, though, Azura. Trying to run into KSH. He doesn't have the greatest mana pool left. KSH still without the BKB, so he's going to be relying on the supports to get him out of the tricky situation, but he's locked into the triangle, forced to stand his ground, but he doesn't even take anyone into the grave with him.
Now that was a good one there. They were basically baiting out the Storm Spirit having low mana, Narman making sure not to reveal himself too early, so you had that turnaround potential with the double stun. And DB that time around using the Stone Gaze to good effect, basically making it so that there was no way Yangon Galacticos could run. You can't run back to the base, you're just going to get turned to stone.
Oh, what's going on down bottom? Long zip in, Azura's going to be there in the nick of time to keep Fariz alive. Hall's going to try and turn around off the back of the BKB, but Azura zips out, dodges it. Will not matter as a BKB TP, but... at least you keep your support alive and another BKB wasted.
That's the important thing for mine. The BKB being wasted. Any time that you're just TPing all the way back to base is time that you're not spent farming. And I still feel like you're somewhat lacking in damage on this Lina in particular.
They're on Dusar.
So yeah, you're not killing her though.
There's a bit of a window knowing that Ravage and Stone Gaze is on cooldown. So Yangon were trying to use that to their advantage, but like you said, killing the Deucer is still very difficult of a task. But one thing I wanted to mention before is that, like, this Army Geniuses roster, we saw them struggle through, I think, the most recent Pro Series, and they also struggled, of course, at the start of DPC, but then they won 5 series in a row. But I think my big praise for them is just they seem to really understand their timings well and when they're ahead. And a perfect example was they had a 3,000 net worth lead and Adusa was hitting the tier 2 mid. And tier 2 tower mid is a very difficult tower to take.
Having the Grove Bow and the Dragon Lance does help. Matters, of course, just being able to hit the tower without it being able to hit you. But yeah, certainly DB feeling very confident in himself. Able to just be this raid boss of a hero. Finally, they start to make a bit more of a rotation up towards the top side. You just got to commit up top here. I know they want to try and get a pick off into a tower, but You've got a Beastmaster, you've got a Lina, you've got a Pugna, you've got the ancient Ice Shaman that can hurl the big ball of ice into the tower. Surely you take advantage of this to take away the jungle, because Roche is respawning in potentially 30 seconds. Instead, it's going to be a tier 2 taken first by Army Geniuses.
Wummy, what are you up to here? Do it. Chuck out a stray Ravage. Well, they might have seen the roll particles. It looks like a Zero did, but he's not going to run into skill A.
Dire's courier has been killed.
We've got everyone split across the map. Multiple 4 heroes bottom, 5, 6 heroes top. Just trying to delay, I think, for Yangon Galacticos, but what are they really delaying for?
I'd say the BKB on the Tiny. The fact that you can't fight into this Storm Spirit or the Ink Swell or the Ravage is pretty important.
Storm has caught out one. Skill A was still trying to be a nuisance to the tree line. He might get away. Has he got a TP? He does. Oh, dude, Skill A's making so much space right now.
Just walking around these trees. Try and distract away
they
from
see
Wobby.
you.
Okay.
What is this game? Oh, bottom lane, Naaman's trying to set up on Hall, but again, no one's near. So maybe trying to cancel a TP so they can take a fight somewhere else?
Yeah, that'd be a really sick play.
Oh, well, maybe kill him now. Hall's gone really aggressive.
I don't know. Still with a Tide Hunter, like you might be able to prevent the damage that Alina's able to do, but you're not killing her.
On the river, KSH gets a solo kill. Dude, what is going on the past 4 minutes? This is a wild game. We've got like 5 1v1s. This Naaman now finally tries to annoy Hor, and he forces a BKB out. You didn't know where the storm was, so you had to just BKB TP. I think was even TPing to the outpost as top lane. Dusa gonna be controlled for the moment with the Roar. They're doing a great job to dwindle the resources, but DB has got backup starting to come. Still trying to stand his ground to jump in from Wummy. Ravage at the ready. He's going to chuck it out onto 3, but DB will get the kill and look to get away, but the Avalanche prevents that as KSH drops the combo onto 2. And Yangon doing something to put themselves still in a position to take this, but Hor is going to be in trouble. Once again, Naaman scouting out the Lina. This Nyx assassin has been on point so far, always just giving them the information so they can find these pickoffs and maybe disrupting BKB so they can then get that kill on the second attempt.
Gone hunting though on KSH, trying to find someone around the map here, but that's Silver Edge.
Oh, that was a quick reaction. Azura, very nicely played. Now KSH, he just has to stand his ground. There's no hope of a TP. There's no hope of a BKB usage without it. And Azura, set up from those quick reactions, then gets rewarded with the kill.
This is one of those instances where I feel like it's just a very simple objective that they didn't take. You just killed the Tide Hunter, you just killed the Medusa, and you had 3 other heroes on Army Geniuses showing in the mid lane. The lane was pushed in basically right in front of a tower, a tier 2 tower, before Roshan, and you've got a Tiny. It's like 3 hits to take out that tower, take the outpost, put yourself in a really strong position to contest Roshan if it was a quick spawn, and it was. So it feels to me like they've just given up a huge amount of map control to go for like a prospective kill onto a Storm Spirit, which really doesn't matter at this stage at the end of the day.
I'm not sure if Radiant are going to have the Ravage timing, but if they smoke or make a play as soon as Tiny respawns, Ravage will still be on cooldown. So it's a bit of a window here for Yangon Galacticos.
I see exactly what's happening as well. The Sentry Ward not spawning out that Hawk.
Runs into Zorain. You see Wummy instantly jumping behind the Pugna just to see if there's any other heroes that they can catch out. Recognizing that Pugna is dead mate, and he can go for someone else.
Got a Blink Dagger picked up by the Nyx Assassin. RT also has one as well. So you could look to go for some kind of sneaky Age of Steel if you were wanting to with the vision of the Hawk.
We have full control of the pit. Double Hawk, ward placed in the river. You see the Earth Spirit is still playing nearby. Wummy's going to start to move out to maybe block a roll. What, dude? How does Wummy know? Like, how does Wummy know? He even pops a BKB just in the hope that he can get out. So it looks like maybe it's on RT. He's got a blink. They're back in. There's no way they get it. Okay, the stun's preventing the snags, and they even get the shot as well, but that could have been scary. Meanwhile, Azura, eyes on the prize over the hall, but again, a BKB TP out, he'll be okay.
The one tiny plus side is that KSH is still looking to farm. He's going to look to try and get this kill in onto Azura, but he's hugging the left-hand side of his lane.
Dude, Naman is... I feel like
He's everywhere.
Yeah, I gotta stop singing this man's praises. I don't know how he keeps doing it. He's even got detection as well. I was gonna make sure. You gotta have detection. Haha, Tiny killed off. That'd be the worst thing. I'm singing his praises, and then all of a sudden, Tiny just escapes with a Shadow Blade. I'm like, oh, sorry, Naman. Maybe spoke a bit too soon.
This is not tipping him. Like, the amount of times that he's found a really high priority target to slow down this pushing potential is huge. Did finally take the tier 2 tower top, but about 10, 12 minutes later than they probably should have.
Yeah. Let's put them down in quite the deficit. Quite the whole 7,000 lead for Army Geniuses, and you've got Aghanims now completed with the Medusa. She even got the Aghanim shot as well from that second row, so good luck killing her.
Just looking to place up some vision here. Don't know how far forward you can look to go, though.
And Zoran's in trouble.
Place the Nether Ward at least.
Oh, get something down. Wami even jumps behind. Oh boy. No buybacks.
Radiant structures are
Close.
visibility.
Not really. Tiny's going to have the Echo Saber up again, as well as the BKB when he comes back. So that is pretty strong, but, I mean, Dire with all of their cooldowns and a Medusa with Aegis and level 23 and Sky is also pretty damn strong.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
I feel like you're just looking over the mid set of barracks as well. Or do you feel like Army Geniuses maybe need a pick off before they think about butting their heads up high ground once again?
No, I think you just stand behind this Medusa and look to counter-initiate.
Wami is on top of Azura. If they can get rid of the Tide Hunter before the threat of the Ravage, and they'll do just that. Radiant, a valuable target to kill off, but look at DB. Stone Gaze forcing Yangon to retreat away, but they don't have the opportunity as Azura pounces onto the high ground. They're onto KSH. He's in trouble, and the Tiny's the Rockman killed off. DB is just way too farmed, and Wami's back alive. He wants his revenge. He wants someone to put back into the grave, but they won't have that capability. But you're probably happy with just taking the game instead, as it feels like they're in quite the prime position to do so.
Yeah, not even close to the buybacks on both of them.
There we go.
Ravage will hit onto 3.
And it looks like Beastmaster will be the sacrifice for this. Just off the mark of getting that ink spell stun, but yeah, no back on Tiny or the Lina, so it's going to be another full set of barracks.
Yeah, you just stand behind this Medusa, and what can you do, right? He's level 25 now as well, so he's got the split shot modifiers going. Trying to stand inside the ancient is Beastmaster with the spider legs, but not sure how much good it's going to do him. So that's a second full lane. Not able to go for tier 4s just yet, with the Lina looking to respawn soon-ish, and well, never mind, scratch that. You'd have to disassemble the Dragonlance to be able to build into the BKB, so might want to repurchase the Ogre Axe soon. Running out of item spots though, I suppose.
It's a tough life as a carry that goes 14, 2, and 7 and is, I mean, double the Lina's net worth. Pretty close to the Tinies as well, doubling. Jesus. One last fight outside the base, but nice scan. They're going to get set up for this now. So KSH going to try and go to the back line. Wami's not that valuable. They're going to commit the roar onto him as well. Silver's Edge, so there's going to be no Kraken shell. Wami killed off. How do they set themselves up now for this fight? You've used all your BKBs. Is DB just locking onto the heroes by the high ground to a in the grave. And are they going to go back in though? Yangon? Yeah, they will. Skill 8. Nice rolls on the mark. DB kicked onto the high ground. Nice. Okay. Now they can just solo down Naman. But DB puts a BKB inside the inventory. He's going to TP out.
Still a very nice kick coming through there by Skill 8. That's a good way to be able to counter out the Medusa, right? Just make it so that you put her somewhere where she can't move and then run away from it. big portion of the damage is removed from the equation there if that's going to be the way that you play it. But, well, it did still cost them a lot, right? They lose a tier 2 tower, they lose another death onto the Beastmaster, buyback on Zorain. It's a lot. I mean, who do they even have buyback on? The Tiny and the Lina, if they get a little bit more money on the Tiny? But it feels like you've just fallen way too far behind that you got to just risk it for the biscuit. Start building into that Moon Shard or the AC.
I guess this is the nice thing about the Tinies that we have seen. If you win a fight and they don't have buyback, then you can, all of a sudden you got 2 full sets of barracks or maybe even throne. So this hero does, and even with the Lina as well, and Beastmaster for that matter. So there is still a Hail Mary play for Yangon. There's a 2% chance for them, but it's looking a bit grim.
I'll give him the 2% chance if the game gets to 37 minutes and a leveler drops for Yangon Galacticos. Then I'll give him a shot.
What, so you reckon it's 0 right now?
1. There's always a chance.
Hang on, Naaman's got a heart queued up.
Invisibility.
What a Chad.
Why not, right? Why not? Oh my. Look at him scouting out first. On the front line, just getting that information. No one's home, although they want to knock even further inside the base.
Just about to walk inside Sentry Vision is Naaman. Has to be careful. Oof. Just missing the Spike Carapace there onto the Pugna. Cutting the wave, though, is Hor up on the top side. Holding onto a lot of gold. He really wants to have that buyback available.
It's nice that you got the Ancient Black Dragon as well. So this top lane is something that needs to be addressed, especially with the catapult. Maybe Hor can get a pick off on Grim, potentially, if they're expecting a support to trying to do this role. Because he is continuing to stalk the lane.
Yeah, it seems like he's just escorting the wave forward here, and if it's someone like a Grimstroke that wants to come forward, it'd be pretty easy to take them out. Oh, actually...
Stormcat's on his TP. Just for the Pugna kill, okay.
Don't think they saw that, because he was TPing it behind the tower, but with popped as Hor kind of reveals himself on the lane as well, so what's going to happen in mid lane in the meantime? DB, level 26, plenty of farm for himself. Wait for the Swift Blink. Gotta make something happen now, Hor.
Just gonna TP back. RT instantly jumping in, but Wami, can he get the Ravage off? They're doing a lot of damage to the Tide until Wami finds the ultimate, but not too much avail with the BKBs protecting Yangon, but DB stands his ground. And Naaman's going to make sure they don't get back inside the base, but it truly doesn't matter. It's objective-based gaming for Army Geniuses as they're on to the last set of barracks.
Nothing's changed. Just stand behind the Medusa. Let her be the one to tank up a lot of the damage. You've got a Grimstroke there.
Maybe they can toss? Okay, this is creative, but all of a sudden DB just pops BKB and... yeah, he runs away.
They're so close to that level 25 actually on KSH, which might have given them that small opportunity, but well, now that you've been megged, don't think there's too much that you're going to be able to do.
One last attempt. Oh yeah, and he's just killed off instantly. Look at that. He's got a buyback, but yeah, DB's a raid boss, and you don't have the net worth to be able to deal with the raid boss. And they go. T4 is under siege. They have got a central drop, so they see KSH. Awkward blink timing from both. Now with the Scotty, so DB is completely out of mana. But it's not going to matter. They're going to go back in onto Azura at the last second zip. But once the BKB's expired, Army Geniuses, they sense a sign of weakness. Storm's still in trouble in the backline, RT. Solo kills Azura. See what else they can set themselves up for, though. Outside the base in the middle, Remnants. Looks like RT gets a double kill. Back to bottom we go is DB trying to stand his ground off the back of the BKB, but they're going to be able to kill him off. Now he does have a buyback at least, so it's not like they can walk it down. He's even going to look to buy back, trying to TP outside to help out Wami. but he's very, very far. They don't have the outpost, so he's going to be TPing to their own at top. So a bit of a buyback wasted, but doesn't really matter too much.
I mean, you have just given Yangon the tiniest little glimmer of hope, right? Like, it's going to take so much for the team fight to go well now that they're going to take this Roshan, right? But imagine the ideal scenario where you are able to kill the Medusa twice. She doesn't have buyback. Storm won't have buyback. You've got a Tiny. You can potentially look to end the game if everything goes right for you. Gaben's saying 0%. I'm saying 1.5.
1.5? I reckon with Aegis now it gets rid of that win condition. So...
Half. Final offer.
Okay.
Oh no, you can't be the ones getting caught out under a sentry.
It's an aggressive blink once again. Tidehunter might not get the Ravage off. Wami still, but it doesn't matter. DB stuck on the high ground in awkward position on Azura. What a scepter usage. Vortex dragging back all three, and now DB. He's got the blink now available. Back off cooldown. And the throne will pop to the creeps as Army Geniuses take game 1 pre-40 minutes.
Nicely done, but it's on the back of a fair few mistakes coming through from Yangon. You know, just not looking to play around the early strengths of their draft. The laning stage, Lina still slightly beating the Storm Spirit, but probably not as much as she would have liked to. Few rolls missed by Skille there, and you've had multiple chances where you were able to take away the enemy's side of the map, and they just never took it. Forcing Glyph is fine, but you got to do something once the Glyph has been forced, and it just seemed like they wanted to back off entirely. So Army Geniuses showing why they were the favorites coming into this one with some relatively more composed Dota, even though there were some small areas of concern at times.
Yeah, definitely. I think we both felt like this was a relatively even draft, though it just kind of came down to execution, and Yangon unfortunately weren't able to show us that they could prove with this lineup. I mean, Army Genius had a really good start. The fact that DB as well, I think that lane was a big factor. We saw Medusa taking a tier 1 at like 6 minutes in, which is not expected at all. But you pick the Beastmaster in a position where it could be answered, and we saw there are weaknesses when you do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the number of boars fed in the lane was far too many. Couple of deaths early on that really shouldn't have happened. Medusa Grimstroke is not a kill lane, you know, so the fact that a lot of those boars were fed through gave them the extra levels that they needed to get aggressive and get those kills. It just started the snowball and never seemed to stop. Yeah, I mean, the win probability was in Army Genius's side the entire game.
Well, for Army Geniuses, a solid game 1 performance from them, but time to find out if they can continue with that showing into game 2.